31 degrees, 422 here at NewsTalk 1400 DWS. Time once again to talk with Dr. Scott Paluska from Oak Orthopedics about some medical type things and how different exercise can have different impact on the human body. Dr. Paluska with me on the phone again this afternoon. How are you today, Scott?
You know, I'm much colder than yesterday, but otherwise pretty good.
Yeah, only about a 30-degree drop or so in temperatures, but we'll take it, I guess. Wanted to talk to you a little bit today. It is the time of year where folks are going to start getting outside more to do some of the outdoor activities. Thought we'd focus on maybe some different types of cardio activity that people can do and the impact that they have on bones and joints. And I guess, you know, some of the more popular activities, Scott, would be things like walking and running, biking, and then if you get onto different machines like ellipticals, I guess talk about maybe what would be some lower impact things that folks can do, and then work your way up to some higher impact things that people like to do as well.
You know, the first thought is I would encourage people to do whatever they can get access to most efficiently, meaning what's the least expensive, what's the closest, what's the most enjoyable for them. And once you've sort of decided that, I think if you're going to try to minimize stress on joints, let's say you've got a bad hip or you've got some arthritis in your back or your knee, these so-called lower impact activities are usually going to be a little less punishing on your body. And so, for instance, brisk walking is not going to put too much impact on those areas, but will help with bone density and will help with circulation as well as give you some, you know, cardiovascular benefit, which is part of the goal here. But some folks, like on a day like today, say, I don't want to go out and walk and this kind of stuff. And biking would be a great choice. So if you have access to an indoor exercise bike or trainer or spinner or something of that sort, usually that means you just have to take the laundry off that exercise bike you've got in the basement and start sitting on that thing. But the pool is another good option. So swimming or exercise bike are really nice, low impact. And the crossover one, which many people also think about, is called an elliptical trainer. And that's that machine that kind of looks like it's a cross-country ski machine combined with like a treadmill, but your foot is always in contact with these two foot plates that move around. Yeah, so that elliptical, another good low-impact option. And you mentioned how some of the higher-impact activities like walking and running can actually help increase bone density. Talk a little bit about that and how that works. Well, your bones are responsive to muscles and tendons pulling on them. So a muscle makes a tendon which connects onto a bone. And if we put you up in space for a couple of months, your bones are going to get a little bit thin because you're not getting that force of the tendon tugging on the bone. And the bone kind of responds to that by getting stronger because it assumes that there's some sort of stress that it's going to be seeing. And so if you can do activities that require you to put weight on your lower extremities, particularly thinking walking, jumping sports, running, impact sort of exercise, and it doesn't have to be high impact, but the more the better, that stimulates those bone cells to kind of build up more bone and kind of overcomes those bone cells that want to sort of chew away the bone, because we're always in balance here of the building and the breaking down, and impact activities help the building side of things a little bit more.
Sure. And then, of course, there's the flip side of that. The higher impact activities can have, you know, a little bit harder time with your joints, you know, knees, ankles, hips, like you mentioned. So I guess the key is trying to find that balance between the impact that will help build that bone density, but not too much so that you really are too hard on your joints.
Yeah, and that's a difficult area to answer well sometimes, because I'll have people ask me about running marathons, for instance, if they have knee arthritis. And I still think that the data suggests the benefits of being physically active in a way that encourages your heart and lungs and circulation to improve probably outweighs any of the risks. So even if you've got a little knee arthritis, you don't have to stay away from all impact activities. You may just want to mix it up a little bit. So rather than, say, running every day, get out and do some stuff with the kids or do something on a bike, or maybe you do some more vigorous gardening or things that count as physical activity, but people wouldn't necessarily think of normally when they're considering working out.
Sure. And you mentioned also getting in the pool, and I think you mentioned that swimming is kind of a nice low impact one. Talk about, I guess, the benefits of getting in that pool and maybe and using that type of workout.
You know, the nice thing about a pool is that you're using lots of different muscle groups in directions that you may not in other sports. So if you're just swimming with your upper body, for instance, you're using your shoulders and elbows and forearms and chest muscles. And you can do things where you either work with the upper body or lower body. So you use a kickboard, for instance, or you use one of those flotation devices between your legs. So swimming is nice because you have multiple strokes and multiple body parts that are brought into play. Plus, it relieves some of your weight. So if you're somebody that has a few extra pounds, and there's a number of us that are thinking about pulling a few extra pounds around each day, the water gives you that buoyancy, obviously, which makes it seem a little bit easier for you to do that. And it's warm and moist, which is another nice environment to exercise in.
Well, I guess, as you said, Scott, the key is make sure you're doing something, and whatever is most comfortable and easiest access to, that's the best thing for you then.
Yeah, you got to find these little windows of opportunity. So each day, try and get 20 to 30 minutes of something that, makes your heart pump a little bit like you're huffing and puffing, but you're not feeling like you're going to pass out. And try and look for those opportunities to get either a 20 or 30-minute bout in or multiple 10-minute bouts. But you just have to do it. You just have to carve out the time and find something that's enjoyable and accessible.
All right, very good. Well, Dr. Paluska, if folks have any questions, they want to set up a time to see you about maybe some pain issues or anything that they're having, what's the best way to get in touch?
You can reach us at our office, which is on 1405 West Park Street, just across from the Beckman Institute, near the Presence Medical Center. Or you can find us at oakortho.com or 384-8080.
All right, Dr. Scott Paluska with Oak Orthopedics. Always enjoy our chats each month, and we'll talk to you again in the month of April.
Sounds great, thanks.
All right, Dr. Scott Paluska with me this afternoon. 32 degrees, 429. Local news is next.